Hey there, it's Trisha, and I'm going to share with you the trades that I took on Monday, November 17th, and then I am almost caught up. Um, anyway, I'm doing these videos so I can show you that you don't have to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on expensive programs or systems in order to be profitable trading the S&P E-mini. And these are just two setups that I use. These are the only two setups that I use. Not to say that there aren't thousands of other setups that work out there, but this is what works for me. And if you want to go to www.easyeminitrade.com, you can get these two setups. The one is off of a longer tick chart, and the other is a scalp setup. You can get these for $49.97, a fraction of what they're worth, believe me. I just want to share these with everybody so it will show everybody that they can do it. They don't have to feel discouraged and feel like they're inadequate when they're trading. The key is to have a plan and to stick to the plan. So with that, I'm going to show you my trades. It felt like this day I was just going to go crazy. Monday just felt like nothing was going to happen. It was just not going anywhere, and I really felt like I was never going to get a trade in, and that's where the patience pays off. As you can see by looking at this longer tick chart, price just went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can see the red line and the yellow line there. Usually what I do on this longer tick chart is I draw in the close from the day before, the high from the day before, and the low from the day before. Because typically any price action around these horizontal lines are going to stall and usually go in the opposite direction. So typically when I have price action around those points, I will wait for them to break out or break down and then buy or sell the pullback according to my setups if they do set up. All these three arrows that you see on this chart were setups that occurred, but I did not get any confirmation from my other two charts. I use a longer tick chart, then I drill down to a smaller time frame minute chart, and then I take my entries off of the setup on a small frame tick chart. So anyway, I did not get any confirmation for any of these trades. This is a scalp trade that I thought was going to be setting up at about 9:35. I don't trade until 9:40, so I wouldn't have taken it anyway. But this is just to show that this scalp trade would not have worked out anyway. You would have been stopped out immediately, and that is one of the reasons why I typically wait till after 9:40. I let the market just have time to bounce around and hopefully quiet down a little bit before I start to trade. That works for me. It may not work for you. You may trade right off the open at 9:30 of the cash market, but for me, I found that I was getting stopped out too often. So I just wait patiently for my setups to occur, and I really did feel like I was being tested yesterday. This was another scalp that looked like it was going to set up, but I never got confirmation on my smaller time frame minute chart, so I passed. This trade would have worked out, but that's going to happen, and you're going to have that. When you stick to a plan and follow your rules, there are going to be times where you'll say to yourself, well, gosh, I should have took that anyway. But 9 times out of 10, it wouldn't have worked out. You would have been stopped out, or it would have went in the other direction. So I don't beat myself up about these anymore, and I don't get upset about missing a move because there's going to be other moves. And that's what you really have to remember, is that you are going to get a trade, and you're just going to have to be patient and wait for your setup and follow your plan. Again, this is set up off of the longer tick chart, but I had no confirmation on my other two charts, so I passed. So you can see I'm getting frustrated myself at this point because I'm feeling like I'm not going to make any money today, and that, of course, is all in your head. A trade is going to set up, and you're going to be able to take it. But anyway, I never got confirmation, so I passed. And I'm just showing these to you to show you that I feel the frustration as well, and oftentimes I'm thinking gosh, my rules, I need to change my rules, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. I'm not going to do that, because in the long term, they do work. So I was patient, and finally I did get a trade set up at approximately 12:43, and this was a scalp setup, and I drilled down to my smaller minute chart, and I had confirmation on my indicators, and also the longer tick chart confirmed that I could take this long. So yay, finally I got a trade, and I trail stopped it, and I entered at 874 and a quarter and was trail stopped out at 880 for a gain of 5 3/4. I was happy about that. I actually exited. I didn't wait for the trail stop on this one. I actually exited this trade. You can see the circle up here, because I could see all the indicators were now turning against me. All the indicators that I used were now saying that momentum was slowing, and this was probably going to start to go down. So just as soon as it crossed below my moving average on here, I exited the trade. So I actually did not trail stop this one. I just got out a little bit sooner for a slightly better gain than if I would have trail stopped. This next trade set up at a little after 1:30, and typically I don't trade a lot in the afternoon. Just my ratio in the afternoon for me personally is not as good as the earlier part of the day, but I felt like I needed to stick around because, with such lack of action in the morning, I thought surely something was going to happen as soon as I stepped away from the computer. So I wound up, sitting here most of the day yesterday. This was a scalp trade that set up, like I said, a little after 1:30, and I've got my confirmation here on my small tick chart, and I've got my scalp set up, and I had my confirmation on my smaller minute chart and my longer tick chart. So finally I did have another entry. This one I went short at 868, and I actually got out at 861.75. This one, again, I did not use the trail stop method. You can see the circle here where I exited. What I did was I put a stop in for right around just like 2 ticks higher than the close from the day before, because like I said, usually when price action gets to those key points, you're going to have a bounce. So I thought for sure that this was going to bounce when it got close to the low of the day before. So I just exited it. I did not wait for the trail stop, and I was right, it did bounce, so that worked out well for me as well. So I took a short at 868, out at 861.75 for a gain of 6 1/4. And those were the only 2 trades that I took yesterday. So I was patient. If you are a different type scalp person, you probably could have had some other entries. But what you need to remember is that you're enforcing bad habits in yourself. If you don't stick to a plan and follow your rules, you can't be consistent, because you're not going to know when something good is actually setting up, and you're going to find yourself jumping in and jumping out. This way, following a specific plan with just a couple setups that you can, master a couple setups, you're going to find yourself being much more consistent, because you are not looking all over the place, and you're not guessing yourself, and you're not guessing the price. It definitely is a more peaceful way to trade, at least for me. I know people that are, very hyper, and, they're trading off of a 50 tick chart, getting in and getting out, getting in and I just can't trade that way. That is just too stressful for me. So anyway, these 2 simple trade setups are available at www.easyeminitrade.com, and, you might like them, and I really think that you will, because it's going to give you a plan and specific setups with specific indicators and specific entries and exits, and it's just going to definitely make things a little bit easier for you if you're like me, where you were jumping in and out of the market all the time. So anyway, the trades for Monday the 17th, I have 2 trades. Trade number 1 using scalp method was a gain of 5 3/4, and trade number 2 was using the scalp method as well, and that was for a gain of 6 1/4 for a total gain of 12. So my patience definitely did pay off, and I was glad I stuck around until the afternoon. And that's it, and I'll see you on the next video.